Welcome to Power Word Crit, everybody. My name is Corin, and I will not be your GM today.
Oh,
but I will be your facilitator for our Fireside Chat.
Yay!
Hooray!
We're back with the Fireside Chat.
We received some questions from the audience, so we just want to give a shout out to Joshua and Roslyn and Steven and Sarah. Thank you so much for all of your questions. We are going to try and answer every single one of them to the best of our abilities.
You gave us some doozies. I'm just going to say that.
I had to go back and do some research for some of them. I guess we should just hop on in, shouldn't we?
Yeah, and because of the questions that we have, we're going to kind of do a roulette with them. We're going to have a D24 to decide which question we answer first.
That's because we have 24 questions.
I pulled up a random dice roller from rolladie.net. We're just going to press go on this thing. Let's see what happens.
First number.
Number 21.
Oh, wow.
All of you have run games on and off the show. What is your prep like for a session and for a longer campaign? What does your prep look like as a player?
I'll go first. My prep is very minimal. I very much like to fly by the seat of my pants or off the cuff. I have a bare idea of something, and then I just let the players tell the story, and I go with the flow, basically.
I'll second that for sure. There's a lot of improv that goes into it, and the best laid plans always fail when you meet with the enemy, which is, a delightful problem when you have an idea of what your players are going to do, and then they do a U-turn, take a hard left, and go skyward, which is not the direction they were supposed to go at all.
Was skyward even an option?
It is when you have angel wings.
Or skyships.
When I run parks, I usually start out with making a mind map on a sheet of paper or a whiteboard of here's an idea, this is my idea for my monster or for the opening scene, and I'll kind of draw lines between them and how are these connected, and just spin off that way because I like doing kind of visual stuff. And then once I've got all that, I'll make a note somewhere and then I'll forget about it, and then I'll make another note somewhere and I'll forget about that one. And then eventually I can find those and consolidate them together. I use a handy program called Obsidian, which is a note-taking platform, and that actually does a pretty good job of finding those lost notes and putting them back together. And then I'll put out my important people and what their roles are, and if there's a countdown or something like that for Monster of the Week. And it works.
I'll also say for shorter campaigns like one-shots, there's not a whole lot of planning you can throw into it. You have a general destination of what the big bad is going to do, and, oftentimes the characters will find the problem on whatever road they pick to meet it, and that's how the one-shot goes. For longer campaigns, there are definitely more notes and more involvement, but I would say just the lightest amount of overall prep, like a mastermind, not necessarily the flunkies at the bottom trying to get it to work.
Yeah, I'll say for longer campaigns, because I haven't done any long campaigns for the podcast, only my home games. Those ones, I might have overarching plot threads. For the most part, though, it's kind of built as I go with the story that's being built by the characters and the players themselves. So,
well, that's it. All the GMs have answered the question.
All the GMs have answered the questions. It's fine. So, me prepping on the GM side, it's a lot more listening and thinking during the week. And then usually on the day of, I consolidate and put my prep in. My order of stuff is usually listen to our last recording 2 or 3 times before our next recording. I also text the group random questions about the game at weird hours of the night.
Can confirm.
The day of, I do order takeout with the largest cup size of Coke Zero or Diet Pepsi, so I don't have to cook or worry about caffeine the day of the recording. Then I usually guzzle 2 more cans of Coke or Pepsi during the recording. I spend 30 minutes jotting everything I've thought up over the last week into OneNote, maybe 5 or 6 hours before we start recording, and then I take a nap. And then the next 2 to 3 hours, I frantically scour my other notes for information, cursing myself for not organizing it better. And then I panic.
Hey, ADHD
Yay.
at its finest.
So I also use OneNote for my GMing. It's okay. It does what it needs to do, but I've been looking into, like Ander said, Obsidian. I also looked at Notebook LM recently, so I'm honestly just looking for a better system for my note taking that makes it a little bit more visual. But yeah.
There was another half to this question. Yeah.
What does your prep look like as a player?
Well, usually I just show up. No, just kidding. Especially for longer campaigns, I will definitely have certain like elements of the story or like character developments that I want to bring up. And so I'll actually have those discussions with usually Corin, sometimes Ander, depending on the game that we're playing.
But never Neil.
Well, if we play more Blades in the Dark, then yeah, maybe there'll be some stuff that comes up with Lena that I'll need to talk to Neil about. Or any future games that we end up playing where Neil is GMing.
Oh, we'll get there. Don't you worry. We'll get there.
We'll get to May eventually.
We have so many ideas.
I have too many notes for us not to do that.
Me as a player, it's pretty much the same as GM. I listened to our last recording 2 or 3 times because I have a terrible memory and I just need to re-listen. I do, again, text the group random questions about the game at weird hours of the night. And instead of guzzling all the caffeine, I usually have 1 Coke Zero or Diet Pepsi before and 1 during the game.
For me, it's really handy to be able to listen to the previous episode as a player, to be able to like, oh, what were those important people and plot threads, and what did I say that Gabriella's disguise was this time? I don't remember.
What names has she used already?
Yeah. So I can write down those things, and I'll usually just put that in a notebook because I can listen while I'm at work and stuff like that. But be able to put down a couple of thoughts on like what ideas I have for where I want to take things this session. I'll plop that down. Another thing that I forgot to mention in the GM prep is that I like to use Sly Flourish's Lazy Dungeon Masters checklist.
Yeah, that's a good source.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of videos on YouTube about it, and I think he's actually got the Sly Flourish resource document. It's available for free. He's got a bunch of free stuff available, but the list is review the characters, create a strong start, outline potential scenes, define secrets and clues, develop fantastic locations, outline important NPCs, choose relevant monsters, and select magic item rewards. So this is specifically for D&D 5e, but I found it very useful for running Monster of the Week as well.
I'll say in my case for prepping as a player, I don't for the most part. Mostly because if I'm playing Strieg reacts to things. He doesn't necessarily think ahead, so most of the decisions that he makes or has to make happens in the moment as new information is introduced to him. If there's something he wants to pursue, he'll bring it up and talk to the group about it, but as far as prepping for it, there's not a whole lot to get into it. I'll listen to the previous episode just to refresh myself on where we were and what we were doing. In cases like Carlisle, I'll maybe have an idea of, because he uses some weird magic. I'll think of what resources I have and what kind of magic he can do with that, but usually that changes as we play the session, because it's no longer a matter of, hey, you remember this thing you had access to that you were going to use for that magic spell that would allow you to make it super powerful and super cool? Yeah, you don't have that anymore.
I will say if I was playing like an intelligence-based character, my notes would look a little bit different. It would be a lot more like Sly Flourishes, just because I would have to, quote, be smart.
Here's a question I have for you guys. Are there things that you would like to do to prep more as a player?
I really want a wiki of our stuff because there's so much information that I've actually find myself going back to previous episodes and being like, okay, I know this is between like what happened here, and I have to listen to some very specific thing. Usually it's like, how much gold did I tell them that they made? Or like, what was the name of that one throwaway character who has come back suddenly? So I would really like us to figure out how to do a wiki, but there's a lot that we do in the back end that it's just not in the cards right now because we're focused in on like so many other things.
Someday, we say with stars in our eyes.
I think it's time for a new question.
New number.
22.
Oh, hey.
Ooh, let me read it.
Okay.
Several of you do voices and accents when you play. What are some of your favorite voices and accents? Are there any that you find yourself using a lot?
I will go first. I am not great at accents. I just don't really have time to practice accents when I'm doing podcast stuff. So I'm usually prepping. And so it's just not in the cards for me at the moment. So my defaults that I can do very well are Kobold and Granny Grey Willow. So old person and... Now, I will say I did love doing Moist's voice. That one is fairly simple. And Jobias's voice is just me pinching my nose and closing my throat to sound congested. That's pretty much all that I got.
There's a voice I haven't done for the show, but it is probably one of my favorites.
You know, I don't know how many of you can recognize this fella here, but he's supposed to sound a little bit like the little bat from the Anastasia movie.
Bartok.
Oh, yeah.
I was getting a little bit of Minnesota in there, too.
Well, he's got a little bit of a Minnesotan lilt to him. I gotta be honest, I haven't done that voice in quite a while, but he's probably one of my favorite ones to do because the people who know the movie and hear the voice are immediately excited to hear it. Best response ever.
And I give her a hi-ya and a hoo-ah, and then I kick her, sir.
Favorite part of that movie. I'm not the best with accents either. I do try to change up some of my voices for my characters. However, I play a lot of young girls, and so they're just very high-pitched. I'm trying to branch out, and so my next used voice after the young girl voice would be someone who's very posh and sophisticated and maybe a little snotty. That was
Lena voice.
it was both Lena and Delilah from the Christmas Fiasco one-shot that we did. It's my posh voice, darling.
For my characters, the ones who come to mind at the moment are Gabriella. Is that I just kind of pitch it up just a little bit from my normal talking voice to kind of give just a little bit of a differentiation between when I'm normally talking. I come down here just a little bit. And for the other one that comes to mind is Lilic. It's been a long time, but that one I just really leaned into talking really slow, and then kind of the raspy and giving it a bit. It's been so long since I've been a lizard person, in the swamp country, very far away. You just kind of mess around with it.
That's pretty good, though, for not practicing that in a while. I will say, out of the podcast, probably my favorite character to voice was in a campaign I ran with Corin. I was playing a Floomp Holder.
That's right.
Say one.
So it was my warlock patron, quote unquote. I was actually a sorcerer, but my character thought she was a warlock. And it was based in Wildmount. And so this Floomp Holder was a creation of Aor from 1,000 years ago or whatever. Yep. Aor decided, what would happen if we put like a Floomp and a beholder, which was lawful evil and lawful good or something like that.
Something like that.
What happens if we stick them together? And so they got this Floomp Holder thing. Her voice was beautiful. I contacted my patron as much as possible so I could hear it.
So an example.
Yeah.
Corin, how wonderful to see you today. I do hope you're eating your vegetables.
That's great.
It was so good. I love listening to it. And its name was Fuis Ukor.
Pronounced exactly like that. Fuis Ukor.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move too far from that, any of you have voices that you've thought about trying but haven't had a chance to?
All of them.
For purposes in the future, I want to try working on my old man voice.
I don't have any in the stocks ready to go.
Fair enough. Play ball.
Give us a new roll.
7.
Ah.
The other end of the spectrum.
I will read this one. Out of all campaigns and one-shots, which character have you enjoyed portraying the most?
I'll start this one. I really enjoyed playing Gabriella. She is very fun to play. She's a little impulsive, but she's caring, and it's fun to be a little wild and a little creepy and a little kooky.
I think my favorite currently is probably the necromancer who put together the fish Bard Lewis,
That's right.
and I do not remember the necromancer's name, which is fine.
He wasn't important. We all like Lewis.
Lewis was the star, which was the point of the entire bit.
It was Al.
But Al, that's right. But he was so fun to play, and he was ridiculous, and I was able to play bits off of Lewis because I also was kind of piloting him. I think as we progress more in Hazelnut Valley, Strieg will probably take that position because I like the way his character has formed and developed over what we've done so far. But probably him.
My first choice was actually my Koja, because
Oh, yeah.
there was actually a scene that we recorded with my Koja where she ended up eating like 10 good berries,
Yeah.
but then we cut it out for the
Cut it out
release.
for time.
But she was insane. And it was just because I was like, yeah, she's just going to pop 10 good berries in her mouth. And then it's like, she's got 10 shots of caffeine in her and she's just going wild. So
my Koja was an orc from the orc tribe, right?
She was a
Yes.
half orc, but her other half was halfling.
Okay.
but she was an NPC that I got to play as when we were doing some combats with other things to help lighten the load for Corin when she was GMing in those combats. And so I was playing as my Koja in these combats. It was so much fun.
Yeah, we had decided that one good berry was like a 4-hour shot or like
Yeah.
a 5-hour shot or whatever they're called.
5-hour energy.
5-hour energy shots. And so like she had 10 of them. And so she was like, woo, the whole time.
But it got cut for time, sadly.
Yeah,
But my other answer would be Delilah from the Christmas Fiasco, because I got to play someone kind of evil and diabolical, and I normally don't do that. So, yeah.
It was very fun to watch you play her.
Very fun.
Because I'm normally the sweet and innocent, kind of naive one.
Don't worry, we all know better.
I think everyone's going to know what I'm going to say. Snarg. Because he's cray-cray. But also, I really enjoyed playing Xylus. Because Xylus is the exact opposite of what I am. And so he was the hardest person to play, but also the funnest because I got to tap into that dark side of Corin and bring that out and be an evil person for an hour.
Fair.
Which is why we play D&D.
Next question. Number 11.
Ooh.
I'll read it. Would you be interested in revisiting any of your one-shot worlds or story? If so, which ones?
I would definitely love to return to Super Interns.
Yeah, Super Interns is mine as well. And also Plot Hole Predicament, because it was a fun one-shot with 0 stakes, and I think it'd be fun to just have you guys fall into a bunch of plot holes with different characters and see what happens.
Was it Plot Hole Predicament or Plot Hole Paradox?
Paradox.
Sorry, Plot Hole Paradox. Wow.
We did just recently release it, and we didn't think of the name for it until like 2 days before.
2 days before, yeah.
But yeah, I would enjoy doing that one too. Get some more like AU stuff with our characters. We could even probably branch it out into like other things, like maybe our parks characters get thrown into a plot hole.
Yeah, possible.
Carlisle would hate that so much.
Yes, the chaos.
Right now, Desperate Tides is kind of in that one-shot territory, but I would love to come back to that.
I would also love to go back to Desperate Tides. I think it's a delightful setting, and you guys created such wonderfully colorful characters that have potentially already trauma attached to them, and there's more to them than meets the eye. So I would love to explore that more and maybe crack you all open and figure out what the gooey inside looks like.
Oh, another one-shot idea. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a world or story, but I really enjoyed Kids' Choice. So if we did a little bit more Kids' Choice stuff, I think that'd be a lot of fun too.
I just got to go steal more toddlers.
Don't steal toddlers. Borrow.
Okay, maybe we won't do another Kid's Choice.
Actually, the toddlers that I stole are no longer toddlers, so they're actually kids now. So you have to go steal them for a little bit.
With permission from their parents.
It would be fun to revisit the Necromancer and Lewis and the rest of the gang.
I just imagine that they're just a group of dungeon delvers who clear out dungeons for their employers. I think that'd be fun.
I genuinely don't remember who I played for that.
It is a little bit of a fugue in my mind. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it was a fugue story.
Yeah.
I just remember a lot of squatting.
There was squatting.
Next
Next
question.
question. Number 10.
Aha.
Are there any systems you look forward to returning to for longer stories?
Blades in the Dark.
Blades in the Dark.
Blades in the Dark, hands down.
I would really like to try running some Daggerheart, and I'm interested in the system. And of course, more parks. We will do more parks.
Oh, yes. 100%.
You know,
So excited.
I had forgotten we did the Daggerheart one shot. I wouldn't mind going back to that if for no other reason than to figure out what exactly Corin has planned with the one-eyed deer that may or
Not one-eyed, red-eyed.
Oh,
Red-eyed.
excuse me. The
It's
red
got one eye now.
Oh,
my mistake, speaking something into existence. How dare I? Being hunted by something in a strange world. That could be a really fun plot to explore.
Hey, you know what other systems I like to go to?
What's that?
Pathfinder, 2nd edition.
Spoilers.
Next question. Number 17.
Ooh.
Making me scroll down the document here.
Wow, perfect.
What sort of vision do you have for Power Word Crit in the future? Any big plans for us to get excited about?
Hey, remember that Pathfinder 2nd edition I just mentioned?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
What?
Why don't you tell us more?
I probably can't because I don't know when it's coming out.
Oh, well, there you go.
oh, we're talking.
Andrew's looking at us like, what? And he's the one who ran it.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay, Neil's been talking about wanting to run a game in Pathfinder 2nd edition, so I assume that's what you're talking about. No. So I ran a game.
Yet to be released.
It was 2 years ago at this point almost.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's fully recorded.
Yeah.
We just need to find time to edit it and release it.
We were learning the system and we were really diving into it. So there was a lot of like uhs and ums and like
rule looking up and
yeah.
it was a lot, but it was so much fun.
There were also 2 episodes that were fully lost to the void.
Yeah.
And we
No,
don't know what happened.
It wasn't 2 episodes. It was the same episode twice.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was a bit cursed. And it was actually Neil's first time recording with us.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
He had recorded with us there first. We introduced him there, and then we introduced him again,
In Fiasco.
and then
As a
introduced him
guest.
again.
In his
In Hisnut Valley.
Yes.
But at the time, we didn't know which one was going to come out first. So we introduced him 3 times. It ended up being Fiasco that came out first, but we had to go back and edit all the other stuff out. So if we forget to edit out, hey, there's this new guy named Neil. No, he was new at the time, not anymore.
Don't be alarmed. It's just me. I've been here the whole time.
It'll be a blast from the past for us. But very excited to release that.
Keep an eye out for Frost, Stone, and Bone, a Pathfinder 2 adventure that we did that incorporates elements. It's kind of Viking-esque vibes, also like spirit animal kaijus of sorts, and kind of a coming-of-age adventure, as many role-playing games are.
I want to go back to that world, but also other things to look forward to in the future.
We made a list that I continue to add to. I think we're at 33 different ideas for different like types of campaigns or whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much on that list. But time, we just got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, like I've got ideas for several one-shots that I want to do. I have this Jane Austen-esque one that I want to run as like a one-shot or like maybe a mini series. I eventually want to run a Gargoyles-inspired one-shot.
Like the 90s show?
Yes, like the
Yeah.
90s show because it's so cool and edgy and fun. And I like middle-age history type related things. Castles in Scotland and Macbeth.
Macbeth.
We're not
don't
on
know.
a theater. It's fine. You can say the name.
Yeah. So the question asked, like, what kind of vision do we have for Power Word Crit in the future? We've been trying to grow the podcast and such, so we've been going to a couple like local conventions. We just went to Gen Con. We didn't have like booths or anything like that, but we've got our shirts and we were trying to talk to people and pass out business cards. Vision for the future, like I think it would be cool to have art and merch and stickers on our website and things, or to use a site like Redbubble. I ordered a handful of stickers for us that are just our Power Word Crit logo. That's just kind of the black D20 shape that has Power Word Crit on it. And if you all are interested in having one of those, you could send us an email and maybe we can mail one out to you. That way you can stick it on your water bottle or something like that. They're about like 2 inches tall.
I think it'd also be cool to start building like a community, maybe like a Discord or something.
We had somebody ask recently on YouTube about it. So
Oh.
if we get some more interest on it, maybe we will start a Discord.
We've talked about maybe doing Patreon in the future or something, but we want to make sure that there's content there.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about like maybe including some of our after show talk of like what do we want to do next, or some of our thoughts about the episode and things. So if you're interested in more behind the scenes discussion from us, that's something that we might include in that. If you are interested in those kind of things, let us know. Email is probably the best way to contact us, but we've also got our social medias.
Yeah, we are starting to get more of a presence on YouTube at this point now. Also commenting on our episodes on Spotify, because we're using Spotify for podcasters. So we get those notifications when we get comments. Multiple ways to reach out to us. But yeah, unless anyone else has any other tidbits to add.
Telling more stories, envisioning more characters, going on more adventures.
You know what? I just want to tell more good stories with my friends.
Yeah.
That's my vision for PWC.
We're friends.
We are.
Meme of the astronaut holding a gun to the other astronaut looking at Earth. Always have been.
Next question. Number 13.
Ooh.
That is...
Oh, that's a good question.
How did you all meet and start gaming together? What made you decide to start recording and sharing your games?
It's Anders' fault.
It is. Well, for the first bit anyways.
For Neil's portion, it is.
Yeah.
I would say tangentially related for me as well.
David and I started a gaming group back in like 2014. We were at a board game night that Ashlyn's brother had hosted.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's where it started. And I was like, hey, the new D&D's coming out. Really interested in it. And then we didn't play that. We played a different game that David came up with. But eventually we did get around to D&D, and we invited Ashlyn into that.
And that was my first time experiencing any kind of tabletop roleplay game. And it was crazy to learn all the rules, but I enjoyed it a lot. And I was like, all right, I can just have one dice set. And I am perfectly happy with my one dice set.
Little did she know.
But that wouldn't come for like another 5 years.
Then we eventually brought in Corin.
Now, Corin's story. How long did it take you to feel comfortable playing D&D?
I watched about 400 hours of Critical Role before I thought, I could play this game. David was running a Curse of Strahd game back in
That's right.
2018? 2017?
Yeah.
Somewhere thereabouts.
Somewhere thereabouts, yeah. That was my first dive into there. I lost 2 characters. One got her throat ripped out by wolves, and the other one bit Strahd and turned into a vampire. So I lost control of him. The third one did die, but ended up coming back. She turned into a spider and went into somewhere and got attacked by 4 or 5 shadows.
Oh, yeah.
And because her constitution and strength were so low as a spider that I just insta-died. But she came back as a drunk. She could not function without wine. But at the time, we had accidentally made all of Barovia dry. It was a very interesting game.
Because we actually burned down the winery.
We accidentally burned down the winery. Yeah. But I started gaming in 2017 with Ashlyn. Andrew joined a game later.
I had stepped out of the group for a little bit because of work.
And then Neil, first time I played with him was when we were testing out to see if he was a good fit for the podcast. That was the first time I had ever met him.
How did that turn out, by the way?
I don't know.
Oh,
You tell
well.
me.
Are we
guess-
still looking for the results?
I guess we'll never know.
Oof.
2 years later.
But how did we meet? I met Ashlyn 24 years ago in middle school. Andrew, David, and Kayla, I met at church around 11 years ago. And again, Neil, the day of one of our test games about 2 years ago. Then we're like, yeah, he's a great fit. And then immediately jumped into Frost, Stone, and Bone.
But how did we start this podcast?
Oh, I was bored. It was 2020. It was 4 months after everything shut down. I had already put in about 80 hours of Pokemon Sword and hours of Animal Crossing before I got really bored and started listening to the Glass Cannon podcast. After about 100 episodes of that, I thought, I bet I could run a podcast. And then called up Ashlyn about 24 hours later and yelled, hey, do you want to do a D&D podcast with me?
Sure.
A couple days later, I asked David and Kayla, and a week after, we asked Ander.
And then 3 years later, Neil, join us.
Yeah, I met Neil when I was invited to my then girlfriend, now wife's D&D group, which was being run by Neil.
That's right.
They were in the middle of a campaign, and I got to jump in and play a two-headed troll, which they were fighting, and that was a blast.
We had several guests that showed up every now and then, and I would have the guests who were like, what is D&D? Do you want to come and hang out? We're going to have food, and you don't have to play a player, but you can be a monster that fights the other people. And usually the guests were down to be the menace of their friend that invited them. So it all worked out pretty well.
It was great. And then when David and Kayla said that they were going to be leaving the podcast, I knew immediately that Neil was on the top of my wish list of people that I wanted in here. So I pitched it to the group, and he came in, and it was a great fit.
Yay!
And my heart grew 3 sizes that day.
I'm glad it didn't shrink.
Yeah, after that first test, like afterwards, we all just were like, this is it. He fits wonderfully. Next up is number 15, which is kind of related to number 14. So let's do 14 and 15 together.
Yes.
Okay.
Ashlyn has a large dice collection and has been called a dice dragon. What are other people's dice collections like? How do you choose more?
Well, we could start with Ashley's dice first. Do you have top 3, top 4?
Of my dice sets that I...
Yeah.
Hmm.
Which ones are you really excited about and want to shout out?
It's like choosing a favorite child.
It really is. Especially because I have 427 dice sets now.
Jeepers. Jeepers.
And still growing. I would say I have 3 or 4 different glass prism dichroic glass dice sets that I absolutely love. The first set of those I got is one from Crystal Maggie that has the Triforce symbol on the D20. Love that one. The Kingdom Hearts dice set that I have, it has different symbols related to Kingdom Hearts on every single die that's unique and different. Got that from an Etsy shop called Hardlight Forge, I think. They actually have recently come out with new designs. I'm looking at getting some new designs from that one because they're just pretty colors.
That segues nicely into the second part of the question. How do you choose more dice?
Yeah, I'll just limit it to those ones for my favorites. How do I choose more? The dice that speak to me. Like, no joke, this last year of Gen Con, I had the opportunity to actually volunteer selling dice at a booth and got to use an exhibitor badge. And with an exhibitor badge, I got to peruse the exhibit hall like an hour before and after the general public was closed out of the exhibit hall. And as I was walking by, like, are there any things that I'm interested in buying? I walked by Level Up Dice, just perusing or whatever. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, gemstone dice. Oh, cool, like metal looking dice. And I see this one set and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm getting that. But I continue walking around to finish looking at the booth. And then I come back, I'm like, I want to get this set. Like, they're like, okay, yeah, we can show it to you. And I like roll it a few times. I'm like, okay, yes, I'll get this. Like, not even asking how much it was. I was like, this is the one. So like, the dice, they just speak to me and I must purchase them.
My hoard is maybe about half hers, or maybe like 60% of what hers is.
Oof, that's still big.
It is very big. I'm definitely over 200.
It's mainly because of dice Kickstarters that we have both backed.
Yeah, and we've got another one coming that's 57 more sets. It's a Mystery Dice number 3.
When you buy in big batches, that adds up quick.
It does, yes.
Yes, but they're very affordable.
Yeah, if I wasn't near 300, that one will push me over to 300. I have slowed down considerably. I say that.
57 more sets incoming.
But however...
But she also bought like 15 sets at Gen Con this year.
Yeah, it's true. But despite the 57 that are coming, that is a specific Kickstarter that I really like to back because the first 2 were fantastic. I have slowed down considerably, like, perusing stuff. And I tend to gear my hoard towards weird or unusual dice sets, as well as gemstone and metal dice. I really like those as well. This Gen Con, I ended up buying 5 or 6 sets of gemstone dice because they were specific gemstones that I was looking for, like specific cuts. And this last Gen Con knocked it out of the park. I've been looking for these specific gemstone dice for 4 years at this point. And so this Gen Con, I found them all.
What was it, and who'd you get it from?
Oh boy, I bought some from Misty Mountain Gaming, Level Up, Norse Foundry, and there's one more I believe that I purchased from, but I don't remember who they are. I'll have to go check my collection to see what they were.
You also got cool art dice from the Q Workshop.
I did. They had a new art thing where they put the image of art onto the dice themselves. Mine was like galaxy themed, so it looks like a galaxy on my dice. That was really cool.
You know what? I can shout out some of my favorite dice makers, dice designers. So we've got Fennick and Finch, used to be Cozy Gamer. They have lots of dice on their shop that I love to look at and peruse and consider buying. Crystal Maggie, I mentioned previously. You Are Wizards. John Rott from Gatekeeper Gaming and Dice. That's the guy who does the Mystery Dice Kickstarters that we talked about previously. Dispel Dice.
Wild Earth Dice.
Wild Earth Dice, yes. Such good ones. I'll limit to those.
What about Andrew and Neil? What do your dice collections look like?
My collection is much smaller. It fits in a small single bag. It's a hygiene kit that I got from like a raffle thing, but it works really well for holding all my dice.
Hey.
If it works, it works.
It's mostly acrylic dice. You have inexpensive things, kind of the Gemini set. That's kind of the 2-color swirls. A few of those. I have started branching out. I've gotten a couple metal dice. I've got a sharp resin, a kind of green and orange mixed one with glitters in it that I use specifically for Gabriella for obvious reasons,
That's very pretty.
because those colors are very emblematic for her.
Yes.
And when we were at Gen Con, Corin got some really pretty dice from Misty Mountain Gaming. It has Norse rune-ish font for the numbers, and I thought that was really cool. So I got some green fluorite dice.
Fluoride you drink.
Yeah.
Fluoride you don't want to drink.
Yeah, very pretty stone dice that I am very happy with. They're very cool. And I've got a handful of Dungeon Crawl Classics dice because I've got a couple of their books recently. And they are those weird numbers like 3 and 5 and 7, 16, 24, which I wish I had brought my 24-sided die today. That would be very useful on these
the
questions.
one day we needed it.
I have done a head count in my head as best as I can. I think I have somewhere under 40 sets of dice. The rest of these can attest. I bring a large makeup box to session. I have a roll-off to decide which, usually 3 dice sets, I will roll for whatever character I'm playing that evening, and I will alternate through the dice sets as I roll for the evening. I don't super select my dice. I have selected maybe 10 of all of my dice sets. The rest of the dice that I have received have all been gifts or have been given to me for one reason or another. So there are several that hold titles. This is my first dice set. This is the first dice set that is stone. This is the first one that is metal. There are several that hold special places in my heart because they are special gifts. My best friend gave me a set of about 13 different dice. You guys have seen it. I've pulled it out. They are weirdly shaped and weirdly numbered dice. However, it was done by a group who figured mathematical probabilities and, for lack of a better term, rebalanced the dice so that they were mathematically correct and even on a different probability scale. And so a lot of them have some weird shapes to them. Some of them have different numbering patterns. So the D20 looks nothing like a typical D20. The 20 is not opposite the 1. They balance it on the vertices, I think, instead of the sides. So it's a little different and wild, but there's a D24, a D36, a D48, a D120 in that set. There are several very odd sets, and so that set is very near and dear to my heart. But all of the dice that I hold and that I keep because they were given to me, and they all hold stories attached to them, which I feel like segues very nicely into the attached question.
Does anyone else have a dragon hoard of something?
I hoard stories. I hoard all of the thoughts, all of the TTRPGs that I've played with people. For whatever reason, I don't always have it written down, but all of the stories I've ever played with people, I can tell you what happened in every story. And if you bring something up from a one-shot we did, like, I don't remember the characters we played in the Kids' Choice one-shot, but I know exactly what we did, and I remember what happened in that story, and that it just lives in my head, rent-free.
Nice. Aside from dice, I also hoard enamel pins.
No.
Anytime I go travel somewhere, I try to find an enamel pin as my souvenir of choice. I've filled up at least one board, and I'm currently filling out my second board. Not as many dice sets, but it is a growing collection.
I like to collect role-playing games. I'm very magpie-ish, and I like chasing new things and hype and things like that. So I'm interested in new games. And also there's humble bundles and bundles of holding that if you're looking for getting and finding out about new games, those are really cheap ways to get like $500 worth of books for like $30. PDFs are great because I've definitely been in like small living spaces where we don't have space for lots of those things. So my trove of games is mostly digital, though I've got a couple bookshelves now.
I feel like you also collect stickers.
I am starting a sticker collection. It is not very large, but I like stickers. I've got like an acrylic sheet that I have cut to my desk, and I've just slipped the stickers underneath them so I can swap them out when I want.
I like that, though, because that means that they're not permanent there, and so if you want to move them, then you can do so, and you still get to use them and enjoy them.
I've also turned a couple into magnets, too, which is fun. So they just laminate them and stick a magnet on the back so they can live on the fridge.
Nice.
I don't really hoard anything besides dice. Now, as a kid, I used to print out pictures of Sailor Saturn from Sailor Moon in full black and white scale. Instead of saving the images on the computer, I would print them out and put them into a binder. And I did this for 2 or 3 years before my mom realized it. And she was furious with me when she found out, because the only printer that we had in the house was her business printer.
Oh!
And this was way back in the 90s and the early 2000s where laser printers just came out. They were very, very big. They had just reached the point of like non-commercial and like consumer use. They had just breached that price point. And I had printed so many pictures that it had skewed her business expenses for 2 tax seasons. At the height, I had about 5,000 printed images and binders.
Holy crap. Corin.
When I was cleaning out my room about 10 years ago, I went through and pulled every single picture out and threw them away. In fact, the binder that held most of the images is actually in this room that I use for something else. But yeah. One more thing that I used to hoard and I have to be very careful with. I really like journals and notebooks, but I don't use them. So I have to limit myself whenever we go to like a paper store or like Staples or something like that. I just can't buy them because it'll get out of hand very quickly.
That is a true problem.
Next question. Number 18. You have all played several different game systems over the years. What tips do you have for learning and playing new systems?
I recommend finding reference sheets. A lot of these games have good communities, even some of the new ones like Daggerheart's just come out. There's a lot of enthusiastic people about that. And so there are very useful reference sheets to be able to find out like, okay, what's your core mechanic? How do the actions work? How can you do each of the things? I find those super useful for running the game and playing the game.
Agreed.
Videos and podcasts, also make sure that you actually read the rules. When you do so, focus on that main mechanic and don't get so bogged down in all of the background and all of the like lore and story. That's all cool, but you want to make sure that you know how the core of the game works so that you can improvise off of that. For example, D&D is your D20 and roll high, and you got to meet that target number. That's just about everything in D&D is going to be based off of that. And so figure out what that is for the game that you want to play, and you can run it.
That is very good advice.
For me, it's definitely watching tutorials on the games through YouTube videos. I'm very much more inclined to retain something if I can see it visually.
Mm-hmm.
I also turn to YouTube. I watch YouTube series of other people playing it or discussing the mechanics, and I watch them multiple times, so I retain the information.
I would say if you've got a rule set that you are going over and you are actively trying to learn a new game, trust yourself. Because the greatest secret of every TTRPG is that it doesn't matter if you get a rule wrong. It is your game, you are playing with your friends. If you're not sure about a rule, make something up. Keep going. As long as it makes sense with whatever narrative or whatever general rules you guys have played at the outset, you can go back and change the rule later once you've become more familiar with what the book or the rule set actually says. But ultimately, learning it by just playing it and bumbling your way through, that's the best way I've found to be able to get into a game. That's kind of how we did the Frost, Stone, and Bone that we haven't released yet. But it was diving headlong into it. I know more now of Pathfinder than I think I ever would have understood from a book because we just went through it. And in a lot of games, you'll learn that the same mechanics are going to appear over and over and over again. They're all wearing different trench coats and different outfits, but it's like, hey, I know you. You're a roll against a certain level of DC. No, that was the other guy.
You got to get the reps in.
Yeah.
From doing like any game, any activity is you learn best by doing.
When we did Blades in the Dark, the biggest holdup I had was being concerned that I wasn't using a proper challenge mechanic when you guys wanted to achieve something, but the reality was it really didn't matter because it all devolved back into the same 3 or 4 tasks. And it was, if I'm not sure what I'm doing, I can just fall back on these other things that have already been stated in the game. I don't have to have a very specific thing for a very specific scenario, and that's the beauty of most of the rule sets.
Thing too is that, like, as the game master, you don't have to be the end all be all answer. You're at a table with your friends. Ask for their help. Like, hey, what do you guys think about this?
I'll let you in on a secret. Your friends are really smart.
Yeah.
And most of them won't take advantage of you. Most of the time.
Most of the time.
If you encounter something like that, then talk about it.
Exactly.
That's what friends are for.
That's why it's collaborative storytelling. Yay!
Speaking of friends, number 4.
Oh, hey.
What are the sexualities of each of the characters you've all played?
Not sure how that ties to friendship exactly, but
I don't know.
My train of thought just wrecked. Give me a second.
I'll start. I'm really boring. All of my characters are straight.
I don't know if I've ever thought about it. So I personally am more along the asexual orientation, or specifically demisexual. So I don't necessarily care about someone until I've been incredibly invested in them. So thinking about Strieg or Carlisle or any of the other one-shot characters never crossed my mind because that wasn't something I was ever concerned with.
yeah, I would say for most of my characters, they've mostly been the asexual, demisexual. The only ones that don't fall in that realm would be Izzy. She's straight. But I would also say she's kind of demisexual as well because she has developed her feelings for Jaden after growing up together. And so she like really knows him very well. And so that's why she has such strong feelings for him. Otherwise, I kind of consider her just being straight. And then Quips, or Lena from Blade in the Dark, she is absolutely bisexual, which I will say is a little different for me because I normally don't play around with sexuality in my characters like that. So it's interesting.
Good for you.
Thanks.
If I tried to list all the characters' preferences I played as a GM, we'd be here for hours. But I listened back to all my characters because I forgot some of their names. So I'll just go down the list. Parks, 7, is straight. Hannah, maybe bi. I didn't really think that hard about her. Danielle, super gay. Very, very apparent she is gay. If you didn't pick it up on that first episode she shows up, she's gay.
Her beloved is trapped in a mirror.
Yeah. Little Tuma Horrors, Snarg, he...
Does Snarg care?
So he claimed to have a girlfriend in the past in Little Tuma Horrors, but like, I legit have no idea. If I played Snark even more, maybe, but I think he cares about murder too much to really care. A Terminal Christmas Tale, Brinley was straight. Desperate Tides, Svetlana. I actually haven't decided yet. Generally speaking, when I'm building the character, I will know, or I'll have an inkling, but I just haven't decided with Svetlana yet. I know that's kind of a cop-out answer, but I haven't played her enough to really feel it out. Super interns, Stella Luna Tatiana Celeste Moon Goddess Smith, aka Mira, is Ace. She was always Ace. And there's a reason for that we just never got into the game. So if we ever return, you'll find out why.
Probably because she's from the moon.
And Operation Spam, Gregorius Octavius Shostako. He is way too narcissistic to have any preferences beyond himself. He does not care about anybody else.
Next number.
Number 16. How did you choose the name Power Word Crit? I actually texted Kayla this morning asking where it came from because we had come up with a bunch of names. Some were better than others. There was a list of 30 or 40. It got pretty long. We had all gone our separate ways after meeting and trying to come up with something. David and Kayla were on a vacation, and Kayla said that while they were driving, they were talking about one of the names that we had come up with, which was Crit Happens. TM, don't steal it, that's ours.
I'm sure somebody has picked that.
Well, it's ours now. But that had turned into a discussion of the power word spells. And David just said, Power Word Crit. And Kayla texted that name, and all of us, I believe, at the same time were like, yep, that's the name.
It was the most concise and different than any of the other things that we had picked.
We did have some contenders where we were like, yeah, that one sounds really good, but somebody else had already chosen it. We did a lot of research on trying to figure out, like, is this name taken? Are we going to step on any toes? Is it too close to this?
I like the name because it evokes that, like, role-playing game atmosphere with power word. For those who are familiar with D&D's power word spells, like, I understand what this thing is about. And for people who aren't familiar with that, they're just like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, it sounds cool. What does that mean? And so then I can explain what a power word spell is, and it segues into what the podcast is about. So I like it.
I don't need to answer this question, right?
Neil's not here.
No.
Sorry,
No.
Neil.
You just inherited the name.
Inherited. Ah, yes. My inheritance, yes. I have earned all of the wealth that is granted to me by my great-great-great-great-great-grandpappy, Power Word Critimus. Okay, that bit's gone on long enough. I'm so sorry.
I think this could be our new Christmas special, Power Word Critimus. Next question, number 8. Everyone in PWC has GM'd at least one game. What advice would you give to new GMs?
Breathe.
Yeah.
Do not forget to breathe. That's a very good one.
Otherwise, it's a very short game.
It may be a very quick trip to the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about it a little bit with the advice for learning new games, but trusting your players
Mm-hmm.
And yourself.
and yourself. We're all here to play a game together. If you don't know what happens next and are having a hard time with it, either say, hey, can we take a break real quick while I figure this out? Or ask a player. Something bad happens here. What is it?
Yeah. Other advice I would say is experiment to find what your playstyle is like. Do you enjoy having all the notes written down and being very intricate and everything and having your list of NPCs already named? Or do you prefer being more creative and on the fly creating your stories? Like, just play around and see what fits your style. And then also I would highly, highly recommend doing something that we call Stars and Wishes at the end of every session. So with Stars and Wishes, you actually finish your session at the table with everyone and you say, what were some of the things that you want to highlight that you liked about today's session? What were those stars that you have? Wishes could be, hey, I kind of wanted this thing to happen, but it didn't. Or I would like to see this thing happen in a upcoming session. And so it gives you as the GM ideas of what things did the players at your table really enjoy and what things are they wanting to see more of, or maybe there's something that they themselves feel like they need to improve on. Like they want to be able to practice their interactions with an NPC more. And so that gives you ideas of what things to throw at them in upcoming sessions. And so that's something we implemented back a while ago. And I think it's been really helpful for our own games.
Yeah, it gives you direction on what to do next, what your players are expecting, what you are expecting from your players. It does help quite a bit.
And I think it also helps with the GM letdown that a lot of GMs experience.
One of mine actually deals with GM letdown, so I will go next. I have 5 pieces of advice for home game GMs and 1 for a new podcasting GM. So number 1 for home game, your friends don't care if you're not perfect. They don't care if you make a mistake or have a half fleshed out plot or can't do accents very well. They just want to hang out and have fun. Which leads into number 2. If your group does expect perfection from a new GM, drop them. Find better friends. It sounds harsh, but if they are expecting way too much out of you or you are not having fun with that group, it's not the group for you, and that's okay. Not all groups mesh together. I've been DMing for 6 years, 4 years professionally, and nobody on this podcast expects perfection from everybody.
No.
Number 3, this is specifically for 5e. No one remembers the difference between the grappling and restrained rules. It's going to come up and you're going to be like, wait, I don't remember the rules. And you're going to spend time looking it up every single time. It's okay.
That's how I feel about restrained versus incapacitated.
Yeah. Number 4, always have a list of 10 male, 10 female, and 10 neutral names on hand. Because also have like a small list of physical identifiers that you can pull from, or like personality quirks, or like a hobby. You would be surprised how often you make up a throwaway comment about an NPC and suddenly your players want to help that NPC achieve their dream of becoming a professional sheep wrestler. You have no idea how often that happens. So 10 male, 10 female, and 10 neutral names. It'll save you some time in the long run and some brain power during the game.
Bits, jokes, and inside humor of your group spawns from all of this.
Yes, it does. And number 5, going back to GM letdown, it is a real thing. It's when everybody has left the game, you're alone with your thoughts, and it's those thoughts of, did I do enough? Did I remember that rule right? Or what if everyone is just being nice and saying they're having fun when they're really not? Those thoughts run through your head, and you're kind of left alone to mull over every possible thing you could have done right or wrong or better during the session. Some people it lasts like an hour. Some people it can last weeks after a session. So take care of yourself. This is the advice for that. Take care of yourself. Eat a piece of chocolate. Ask your players for a hug before they leave. Call your parents or grandparents, siblings, cousins, or any other friends for a pick-me-up conversation. Maybe make a hot cup of tea and curl up with a book. Do something that makes you happy afterwards to help quell those thoughts. Because if you go straight from everybody has left and then you don't do something for yourself, those insecurities are going to creep in and you're probably going to have some DM letdown. If none of that works and you're still feeling down, reach out to your players. Let them know you're experiencing DM letdown. If there are any other GMs in the group, they'll know exactly what you're feeling, and I promise your friends are there to help. And if they're not, remember advice number 2, drop them.
Get better friends.
Get better friends.
Hopefully that's not the case for most people.
I concur with all of those.
And my one for new podcast GMs, this is a peek behind the curtain behind every podcast everywhere. Your first episode will suck. It will suck. You will have weird equipment issues, mic feedback, echoes bouncing off of bare walls, and impossible to fix crosstalk issues. We've been doing this for 4 years and we still run into some of those things. In fact, we literally ran into it like 2 days ago. We recorded an episode and Anders' mic picked up nothing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Gabriella was a
tragic.
ghost.
Gabriella was a ghost, yeah. You will make the wrong ruling. It's okay. You'll misread your own notes. It's okay. You'll say one wrong word and never live it down. Ambushers. That was episode 2. I said ambushers wrong, and it's funny. One more thing, you'll also name an NPC something that sounded great in your head, but the moment you say it out loud, you know your players are going to make fun of it until the day you die. But the biggest advice is, release that first episode anyways. The vast majority of TTRPG fans listening to podcasts, they know that the first 3 to 5 episodes are going to be rough. They know that, and they don't care. As long as you and your players are having fun, the quality will get better as you get more comfortable sitting behind the mic. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Like clapping in the background.
Clap,
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 clap.
clap.
Polite applause, polite applause.
The only other thing that I would add to GM tips, I mentioned before Sly Flourish's lazy GM tips in the Dungeon Master's checklist. I find really helpful his tip for define secrets and clues. If you've got lore stuff, don't tie it to a specific individual or place or things like that. If there's specific information your characters need to know in order to move things forward, put it as like a sentence or two in your notes. So regardless of where they go, put it in the spot that makes sense for them to discover it during play. So you've got all your info here in an easy to reference format. Like, okay, they know this, they don't know this, they don't know this. And you can check them off and whatnot, and then update it as you go forward throughout your sessions. So I found that useful, especially in like running a mystery.
And mysteries are hard.
Yeah, mysteries are really hard. Next.
Number 3. What is the literal meaning of each of your characters' names? As in, look it up and see what Google has to say.
I limited how many names I looked up for this, I will admit. Basically, I just left it to Izzy and Val from Parks. Because if I try to do all of them, oh boy.
I did all mine. Every name.
Oh, jeez.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Gabriella is, not surprisingly, it's a feminine form of Gabriel, which is of Italian origin, meaning God is my strength. Kurt was courteous and polite, and Wesley is the Western Meadow.
Oh.
Lilac, I kind of came up with on my own, and it had its own meaning in Lizard folk, was it was fifth of the sleeping lily of the hungry moon.
Ah, yes.
But also there was kind of a tie to a Finnish name that was Lilica or Lilika, which is small flowers. So like small lilies, Lilic.
Okay.
The Jeff clan, Jeff,
Oh, yes.
is a pledge of peace.
Cool. Izzy, Isidore Volkanmov. I had to actually look up what Isidore meant because I liked the sound of the name. It is Greek in origin, and it means gift of Isis.
Okay.
So rainbow stuff. And then Volkanmov. So I don't remember if I've talked about this before on the podcast, at least on mic. I kind of made up the last name based off of using other like language translators. So like Welkin is walking or like sky, like so like walking in the sky kind of thing. And then Mav is actually Turkish for blue. I think the actual Turkish is like Mavi, M-A-V-I, but I just made it Mav. Walking in the blue is basically how I interpret her last name to be. And that's how she gets her nomenclature of Windwalker. For Valerie Tucker, Valerie stands for strength and health and derives from Latin. And then Tucker is actually an English origin name for someone who's like a cloth softener. So they would like beat fabric to thicken up the fibers, I guess, to turn it into clothing to wear and things like that. So like, that's cool. The only other names, quips, came about because she's quick with a word. Sylphie came out of the word sylph, because she was originally based off of like a water nymph. That's all I can think of right now.
The only ones I looked up were Carlisle and Streak, because none of the others are particularly relevant. I felt like I just kind of throw letters at a page until something sticks out to me. I go, I'll use that. That sounds like a name. But apparently Googling Streak references an old Danish word that means to iron.
Huh.
Which, is always fun. Carlisle is from the fort, and it usually referred to, like, Fort Carlisle, apparently. And so the name Carlisle became associated with from the fort, from what I could find. Don't quote me on that. I didn't Google very hard. And then Montgomery was the mountain of the strong man.
Cool.
When I threw everything into Google, I learned that I have an affinity for words that mean numbers.
What?
What, you mean 7?
7.
Yeah, so 7 means 7 in American, but apparently in Turkish it means to love.
Okay.
7 does not have a last name. I never created one. He was just 7, so. Hannah May Sullivan. Hannah, favor or grace. May is the 5th month of the year, derived from the Roman goddess of Maya, associated with spring and growth. And Sullivan means hawk-eyed or little dark-eyed one. Danielle is God is my judge, and her last name Zaleski. I specifically looked for a Polish name because I have ancestry from Poland. It means of the forest or from the clearing. I'll skip Snark for now. Fiasco Brinley. I was making fun of some names that I had grown up with. I'm a bad person. But Brinley actually means burnt meadow or hill meadow.
Okay.
And Jacobson is son of Jacob. Svetlana, light or radiant. And Ajal means time or appointed time with a strong association to the hour of death or fate in Islamic texts. Cain technically means acquired spear or craftsman, or created by God in Arabic, or sound in Japanese. But I just named her Cain because she betrayed her family after Cain and Abel.
Biblical, yes.
Super interns. Stella Luna, Tatiana Celeste, Moon Goddess, Smith Myra.
Oh dear.
Star, Moon. Tatiana means fairy queen or princess. Celeste, heavenlier of the sky. Moon Goddess, self-explanatory. Smith, blacksmith. But Myra means behold or admirable. Or it can mean myrrh as a fragrant or a resin.
So you have brought the frankincense and myrrh. Murder.
Judas.
Thank you, Vine. I miss you every day.
Gregorius means watchful or vigilant, but I wanted him to be the exact opposite of gregarious, so that's where that came from. Octavius means 8, and Shostaco is not a word. It does not exist, but I purposely dropped off Vich off of Shostakovich, which means 6 in Slavic languages.
Oh.
So 6, 7, 8. Now Snarg. Snarg doesn't have a universally recognized meaning according to Google. Snarg named himself that because he did like a snot thing, and it was just the sound of him hucking up a loogie, and he thought the sound sounded cool. However, I did learn. Snarg is a type of ice piton or screw invented by Greg Lowe in the mid-1970s, and also in cryptology, Snarg, S-N-A-R-G, stands for Succinct Non-Interactive Argument of Knowledge.
Huh.
Okay.
It is a type of cryptographic proof where a prover can convince the verifier of the validity of a statement without revealing the proof itself.
Huh.
Done to learn.
That vaguely made sense to my abstract algebra brain.
Same Z's. Well done. Next question.
My goodness.
Neil!
Hi.
Number 19, specifically for Neil. What was your experience like running Blades of the Dark? For the players, what was your experience like?
Oh,
So
boy.
not just for Neil.
I mean, it's partially directed at him.
It started pointed at me. It was very scary,
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I don't want to scare anyone off from playing Blades in the Dark because it is incredibly fun. The learning curve was very sharp at the beginning because I was trying to learn all of the mechanics of the game, which partly tied into a lot of the earlier DM advice of just go with it. Trust what you know already. Because once I learned about how the clocks worked and about how the difficulties worked and how the risks worked, everything else relies on those 3 things. That's it. If you have a question about, well, someone wants to build this thing. Well, what do I do? What is it? Is it controlled? Yes. Is it going to be a long-term project? Yes. Great. Make them a clock. What did they roll? They rolled on scale of 1 to 3, 4, 5, or 6. And that fills in numbers on the clock to achieve the thing they want to achieve. That's it. That's the entirety of the mechanism behind the curtain. And anything else that you want to add of items or equipment or vehicles or circumstances, or it's just small bonuses or things that adjust those said scales up or down.
As a player, it was great. Neil did a great job.
I loved it. I, for the first time, was excited about designing a character who was meant to be more devious. Because Delilah in the Fiasco one-shot, she just came out that way. I was never intending her to fully be like that. But with Lena, quips, I purposely went in like, okay, how far can I take this and like kind of reach out on my comfort levels a little bit. And so it was interesting to explore that, and I did enjoy it a lot. So I would be very excited to go back to Desperate Tides, to Blades in the Dark. Yay, trauma.
Blades in the Dark knows what it is, so it is really easy to lean into those tropes and things and to find those touchstones as a player. It's a lot of fun. It's a strong narrative game written by a really good designer.
I really like the clock mechanism. I have slowly been adding it to behind the scenes in Hazelnut Valley. It has helped me quite a bit with moving plots and stuff.
Yeah, it's a progress bar. When stuff happens, make a mark on the progress bar.
Speaking of behind the scenes, number 23. What sorts of things go on behind the scenes to make this show work? Well, first of all, I keep my players in a cage, in a box in the floor. I let them out only 1 hour a day to see the sunlight, and that keeps them in line.
We're agreed. We still aren't telling her about the back door, right?
The what?
Absolutely not.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Behind the scenes, we kind of mentioned it a little bit. Sometimes things go scawampus in real life, and so chaos happens, and we have to adjust our recording schedules and which things we end up releasing. We also have times where we record an episode and find out after the fact, oh, things did not actually get recorded, or we did not save it, or oh no, we had a power outage, nothing saved, or we had hard drive failures and we lost all of our historical stuff twice.
And thus begins the salty run back. We do it again with gusto.
But as far as like our normal operations, when terrible things aren't happening,
Right. Those are the extremes.
after we've recorded stuff, everybody on the podcast takes an editing shot at it. We've got a plug-in on our editing software that like takes out a bunch of the empty space and some other things that I'm not aware of because I don't do that bit. Then I get it and I do the first pass of it. I take out all the thinking words, so ums, ahs, as well as all of the mouth noises, which I won't make now because it'll be taken out.
Mouth clicks.
Yes.
That's all you need to know.
Yes. And then I pass it over to Corin.
What do you do, Corin?
A lot. A lot happens behind the scenes. Editing-wise, once Ander has done his initial edits, it takes me about 3 to 5 minutes to edit 1 minute of raw audio. Our raw audio is usually between 2 to 2.5 hours. What gets to you guys is anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. So there's a lot that gets taken out. Now, granted, some of that is like a 10-minute break in between, or we stopped to look up a bunch of rules really quick. But once I'm done with my big bulk editing, I send it off to Neil, and he does some polishing. But beyond editing, oh boy, I set up the YouTube shorts. Ashlyn sets up all the social media posts. That takes a lot of time. Coming up with teaser videos takes a couple hours.
There's that time word again.
Yeah, we have checklists of how to set up the recording, what our schedule is for, like, we're doing a sound test, and then we're doing a warm-up, and then we're starting, and then we do this. Just to give you an idea, not prepping for the game or editing, outside of editing, I probably spend 10, 15 hours a week just doing non-episode things for PWC. There's quite a bit to do.
Yeah, I do a lot of the post edits type stuff. So like I'll add the music and sound effects. If I will get it set up for release. I'm usually the one who's coming up with like the episode titles for like Hazelnut Valley. Sometimes I'll ask for input if I'm like really struggling for ideas. Also come up with like the episode summaries and schedule them on Spotify for release. Do the teaser videos and get those scheduled to release on our various social medias. And it's a lot of work, and I still have a full-time job, guys. But thank you for everything that you all do in here to help ease the burden of editing, because I used to be the only one doing it, and ouch.
Sanity must be preserved at
Yes.
all costs.
Ashlyn must be preserved at all costs.
I do 10 to 15 hours. Ashlyn actually does quite a bit more than she even records on her little timesheet that she likes to record on.
I love spreadsheets.
She does love spreadsheets. She
I
does,
hoard spreadsheets, guys.
yeah, she does not give herself credit. If something happened to Ashlyn, we would be in trouble. We're slowly teaching everybody what Ashlyn does for the podcast, but there's just so much.
We would not be able to do it unless we all pitched in and did something.
Yes.
It is definitely a group effort. And if you are a GM who is running your game, editing your episodes, doing everything, and you are not getting help from your players as a podcast, power to you, my dude.
I would even recommend not having your GM edit in the beginning. Just have a player do it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much time that goes into it, and you are going to burn yourself out real quick.
Yeah. Like, I remember when David was trying to edit Operation Spam because he wanted to have the first pass at editing. It just took a long time because we ended up recording that like maybe a year or two before we actually released it.
Yeah, it was a totally new system. None of us really knew much about Warhammer except for David. It was a dice pool system that I don't think Ashlyn and I had ever played.
Nope.
And so there was a lot of lore that we had to look up. There was a lot of describing like, what is a mechanicus and what's this and what is that? And
we were relatively new to the podcasting game in general at that point too.
we were.
Because we were recording that back in like 2021, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we only released it like earlier this year.
I will say a lot more editing happens if there's a new game. So the first 2 or 3 episodes are always pretty rough because you don't know how your character's working. You don't know how they fit with each other. So there's a lot of stuff that you edit out. I end up taking out around 40 to 60% of the episode just because we've either reiterated something or we go, oh, wait, hold on. I didn't actually have that spell slot. We got to redo this whole thing over here. Or I send them down a rabbit hole and I'm like, wait, no, sorry, I messed up. Let's back up. So there's a lot that you guys don't see. Maybe we'll send out a raw. But
If we ever get that Patreon, we'll put up some more raws.
we are not as polished as you think we are. We're just really good at editing it.
we definitely dedicate a lot of hours to it because we want to have good audio and awesome, concise content for our audience to enjoy.
We want you to enjoy listening to us, not cringe every time we say something wrong.
Or get annoyed when we say for the umpteenth time.
Okay, so
Stop it.
Okay,
Stop
it. Okay, number 12. What are some of the inspirations for Hazelnut Valley? Concept, world, and other major characters.
The inspiration that I pitched to Corin at the time was I wanted something with like dark fairy tales. Kind of like Grimm's fairy tales, but with a twist, because I am a huge fan of fairy tale retellings. That was my ask of her, and she's incorporating it, and I'm very impressed.
With the dark fairy tales, when you guys were trying to get Seska and the goose dolls in your very first thing, Seska was supposed to represent like Sleeping Beauty, and the goose dolls was like Mother Goose-esque.
Yeah.
The tax collector was very Rumpelstiltskin-esque.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I see it.
A lot of these things tangentially relate to dark fairy tales, but some of them you may have to tilt your head and squint a little bit to see them. We ended up not being quite as dark as I expected us to be, but we're getting there.
And that's okay. That's just based on how we've played our characters and the
Yeah.
story that we're telling. And I think it's totally fine that we're not starting it out dark, and it's just getting darker as we progress.
Do we know anyone who's missing a shoe?
Oh, I'm sure someone is.
I'm pretty sure Granny Greywillow's lost a shoe.
Is Granny Greywillow Cinderella?
Oh.
I thought you were doing there was no lady who lived in a shoe.
Oh.
That was what I was leaning towards too.
There are a lot of fairy tales with shoes now that I think about it.
Yeah. Also, inspiration for Hazelnut Valley, we ended up doing The Quiet Year.
Yeah, we played through The Quiet Year.
We had a modified one that Ander built.
Yeah, I put together a handful of tables. I think maybe using some of the Perilous Wilds,
We did use that, yes.
which is a supplement for Dungeon World put out by Lamp Black and Brimstone, I think, on DriveThruRPG. It's a awesome book of random tables for any fantasy RPG. In fact, he just put out a one for space stuff. I don't remember the name of it. Check them out. Perilous Wilds is the easiest way to find that.
I ended up printing out a giant map. It was like 8 pieces of paper, and I taped them all together. We played A Quiet Year, and we drew like landmarks and towns and events and all different things on it based off of that modified Quiet Year that Ander created. Just an FYI, we haven't even scratched the surface of what's on that map. There's a lot on that map that we just haven't either gone to see or that just hasn't shown up in canon yet.
So far in the game, we've only really gone to Lake Town, Vasilis, Tanyan, and the Court of Leaves, but we haven't touched Cyprus or Misery. And then there's a lot of like other landmarks in between those places that we haven't explored yet, but they do exist.
Mm-hmm.
All of the things that we've encountered, all the places were developed from that thing. So like the poison pond, for example, was just, there's a poison pond there.
The flying rhinos.
Yeah.
That came from building this map.
So I can blame you guys for Streak having a rhino dropped on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're
Got it.
welcome.
I don't know whose turn it was who came up with
I
that.
think it was David who made the flying rhinos.
I don't remember.
I think it was.
I don't know.
I think Kayla made the poison pond. Oh, it's been so long. We all had different colors. I'll have to pull the map out and look at all the colors.
I shake my fist at all of you dramatically.
Other concepts on the GM side. WPX is just a fantasy version of UPS.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Grandmother Grey Willow is my super OP NPC who can break the fourth wall, and I'm not changing any of that. One thing that may or may not show up is I made a joke that there was only one grung in the valley,
Oh, yeah.
the little frog person. The players haven't met them yet, but they have been on the random table that I use. I have replaced things on the random table consistently, but they haven't rolled to meet the grung yet.
Okay.
But there is only one grung in the valley.
I mean, Moist is kind of froggy.
He is kind of froggy, but he's not the grung.
Okay.
Because he's a firkin.
How interesting.
Speaking of inspo, we created firkins.
Oh yeah, we
David
did create-
wanted to play something that was kind of like Gertie.
Yeah, Gurgi from the Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
That was his main inspiration for Mickey.
I love that.
And
That's
so
great.
we created a whole race of firkin to represent various animal species. Sapient? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Sapient, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That was definitely an inspiration for Hazelnut Valley because now Hazelnut Valley is probably like 60% firkin population.
Mm-hmm. He built out a full character list that you can choose from. So like when you build your character, you could choose from like these 3 cool things. And
Yeah.
yeah, he built that and we've used that consistently.
Yeah.
Other character inspiration. Gabriella was inspired by a character from a webcomic that I really like called Lackadaisy. It's by Tracy Butler about cats running a failing speakeasy during Prohibition. The character is Rocky, who is a chaotic, waffle-fueled, fiddle-playing cat who is foolishly and unfailingly optimistic and has a Cheshire cat smile. I recommend it.
There's a pilot episode for that one too, right?
Yeah, they put together an animated video of it. It's been a long-running comic since probably like 2010, something like
Yeah, it's
that.
been like 15 years.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that inspiration. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Neil wasn't here when we created Hazelnut Valley, so
I wasn't. I'm just having fun listening.
you did create some things in the valley.
I did. This is true. Creating the dojo and the idea that there might be other dojos is a cause and effect because Strieg exists. When I first made Strieg, I didn't want to play a smart character. I wanted to be dumb and strong. And when I looked at my options, I was like, I could do a fighter. Fighters have weapons. I don't want to have to carry anything around. And the more I thought about it, I just kind of wanted him to be a bit of a bum. And so I turned him into a bum. And my options were, all right, well, he uses his bare hands. Is he a barbarian or is he a monk? I don't want him to be angry. I'm going to make him a monk. And then I went through the monk subclasses and Drunken Master's an option. Great. Fantastic. He carries a drinking glass wherever he goes.
Nice.
Drinking gourd.
Drinking gourd. There we go.
Okay, number 2. What has been your favorite NPC in the Hazelnut Valley campaign?
Is it a little selfish of me to say Jaden and Rosalind?
No.
Because they are my NPCs that I created. I will say I really enjoy the direction that Corin takes Rosalind, especially in the upcoming arc. No spoilers, but look forward to it.
Yeah.
Also, I love Grandmother Grey Willow.
Yep. That's my answer.
She is my favorite out of the ones I didn't create.
She is the crazy, cool, old witch grandma who can say anything in its canon.
Yep.
Yes.
Corin does her very well.
Thanks.
I think my 2 favorites are probably tied between, hilariously, Gabriella's mom
Mm.
and Master Kierce.
You know, I could see it.
I had to do a lot of research for Gabriella's mom. Ander said she doesn't have a great relationship with her mom. And then we talked about different types of relationships. And I was like, you know what? I think I know where we're heading. So I ended up binging a bunch of Am I the A-hole posts
Oh, is that
on
why?
Reddit. And it stuck. So thank you, Am I the A-hole? You have helped me recognize some toxic traits in myself that I am working on. But boy, howdy, did I realize it's really easy to slip into Gabriella's mom. How easy it is to slip in there once you learn about it. It's very, very easy. Sorry.
Drama.
Guess we need to go back to Vasilisa.
Guess so. My favorite planned character was Xylus. Xylus came about with a dropped plot before we even started. Ander was like, what about this plot or this? Maybe she's doing this. And I ended up finding a stat block that I really liked. And I was like, that's it. That's what I want. So Xylus was a BBEG from episode 0
Wow.
that was going to show up. I just needed you guys to get up to Titania, and I knew exactly where he was. I needed you to get up there, and if you weren't going to get up there, I was going to transport you there somehow. Favorite spur of the moment that I went, oh no, I don't have my list of 10 names. The blacksmith,
Yes.
also known as Billy.
Yes.
But my favorite player created is Moist.
Yeah.
David created Moist. And yeah, he was a fun character.
Amazing.
We're-
We need to see more Moist.
We got to go track him down.
Another question?
Yeah. Number 24. What have you learned about gaming, podcasting, and yourselves while running the show?
Breathe.
Yeah.
I learned about myself that I often start talking without knowing where I want it to end up. So I can end up tripping myself up sometimes. Or I spend a lot of time, like, I know the vibe of the thing that I want to communicate, but there's a certain word that I want to use, but I end up just kind of petering out a little bit.
I've learned trying to be more collaborative in telling a shared story together. Definitely a skill that has developed over the years and something I'm still working on. So it's very helpful, and I think it just makes things more unique and interesting when you are working together rather than trying to compete against each other to tell a fun story. And then another thing, I've learned to always have backups and have backups of your backups in case you have a hard drive failure.
Twice.
There's trauma.
I have 4 very, very quick things. The biggest one was disagreements don't mean that people hate you. You can have disagreements and still be friends. Number 2, always save your episode halfway through recording
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to re-record half an episode than losing a full one. Twice in a row. Number 3, always do a sound test before recording the episode. Even if you didn't touch your dials on your sound mixer, something has changed.
Yeah. We learned that one today.
Yep. Yes, we did. And number 4, the GM is allowed to have fun too. If you, the GM, are not having fun, you're running the wrong type of game. It's okay to have fun.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off that. There's days where I come in to run a game and I'm like super crazy anxious about, like, I don't feel prepared for this. Like one of the times when we were doing Parks Mystery 3, I didn't know what was going to happen and I didn't have enough time to prep. Work had been really busy. And it was nice to be able to just be like, hey, I don't feel super prepped here. They were like, that's fine. We got this. And we had a lot of fun with it. And it was good. And so trust each other. You're all at the same table. And you're all just making the story together. And the GM is not the sole keeper and caretaker of the fun.
Absolutely.
To go along with that, it's not your job as a GM to make sure that your players are having fun. It's their job to make sure that they're having fun. You are there to tell a story and to help their characters do whatever the players want them to do. But again, if they're not having fun, they need to come talk to you about it. Was it something you said? Was it just a situation that happened? Or is it just, this is just not the game for them? Is there something that you can change up dynamically wise? But again, at the end of the day, it is not your job to make them have fun. And if they're not having fun, they should tell you if they're not having fun.
And as a player, you should help other people have fun.
Yes.
Yes.
All of that with a cherry on top. Hey, how many questions do we have left?
I think we've got 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Do we want to try and rapid fire these last 5?
Yeah, let's do it. Number 1, Neil.
Oh, no.
I've noticed that Neil likes to play a variety of characters, from a dwarven monk to a counterfeiter to an all-knowing wizard, and he plays them all very well. Yes, he does.
Yes,
Oh.
absolutely.
I was wondering if he is or was an actor at some point, or if it's just a natural gift he has.
I did do theater in middle school and high school growing up, but my biggest secret is that my brain never shuts up. There is a constant stream of voices, and unless I am imagining a world, my brain will come up with something for me to imagine. So there is an endless cast of characters and an endless stream of stories and events, people and things. And when I'm by myself in a room, I talk to myself so that those voices have a direction, and I will orchestrate entire plays by myself, because what else am I gonna do?
Did you practice your voices as well?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I'm so good, because I realized what sort of like technical control I could impose on my voice, raising it up and down, and then adjusting the breath flow, adjusting the, for lack of a better term, choking out my voice so that it creates different effects depending on how I tense the muscles on it.
Which is how you end up with an old man like Carlisle.
But then also end up with a fella like Strieg. Endless practice and a mind that won't shut up. I do not recommend it. Next question, please.
Number 5, what do your main characters do for a hobby? Sports, crafts, drinking, gambling.
Izzy, I would say her hobby is jewelry making, but however, that's supposed to be her main job, which means that adventuring is actually her hobby.
Okay, hear me out. Adventuring is her job. Jewelry making is actually her hobby.
I think that's what the switch is ending up to becoming, is adventuring has become more of the job and jewelry making is now the hobby. But narratively speaking, before Hazelnut Valley, yes, her main job was jewelry making and adventuring is becoming her hobby. And now, flip that. For Val, it's writing fanfic. That's already been established. For Sophie from Little Tomb of Horrors, her hobby was making animal friends. She wanted to be friends with all the animals that she could. That came straight from the home game that she came from. And then Quips from Desperate Tides, her hobby would probably be eating luxurious meals, whining and dining people, getting their secrets.
7, in his spare time, he likes to play pranks on Marty. Also cosplay at conventions.
Okay.
Hannah doesn't have any hobbies currently.
Because she might be dead? Or in another realm?
She's developing new hobbies.
She's developing new hobbies at the moment, I guess.
New unknown hobbies.
She is currently in her rise and grind phase. She used to be on the swim team in high school, though, but she's rising and grinding. And Danielle, she likes to fix up old motorcycles, hustling jerks in bars at pool, and crocheting.
That's awesome for Danielle. That's a wide range, and I love it.
Snarg, blasting bugs with sacred flame. Murdering people and raiding dungeons. Desperate Tides, Kane likes to find lost kittens and bring them to the cat cafe.
Yeah.
And Greg from Operation Spam, research, reading, and trivia night, but only when he's guaranteed to win.
That tracks.
Strieg likes brewing different things and hoping that they come out as tasty alcohols. Not everything works. And he doesn't do it super often, but I think he enjoys playfully arguing about the most nonsensical thing. And Carlisle likes chess or any sort of cultural variation of chess.
You could play Go.
He probably does play Go.
Gabriella likes to try new restaurants. Lilac collects different teas. The Jeffs are considering a candy making operation.
Nice.
From those gummy bears that they encountered.
Nice.
And Rat from Desperate Tides is trying to take up bird watching. There aren't many.
I was going to say, what birds?
That's why it's a hobby.
He's trying.
If you had to play your characters as a different class and race, what would you change it to? These are all for D&D. 7 would be a half-elf grave cleric. Hannah, human aberrant mind sorcerer. Danielle would be a Goliath, Oath of Redemption paladin and zealot barbarian, multiclass. Snarg would be a goblin wild magic sorcerer. Svetlana, a Goliath swarmkeeper ranger. Her swarm would be cats.
Amazing.
And Gregorius would be a non-variant human wizard because of purity of blood and all that stuff from Warhammer.
Carlisle would be an incredibly old elven wizard. Strieg, if I had to make him a different race and class, probably an earth genasi and a pugilist fighter.
I had only thought about Gabriella. A possibility when I was creating her was Eladrin.
Eladrin,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, the Fey Elves. Just leaning further into Fey. And doing Wizard. Do very witchy vibes. But I wanted to lean more into the charisma thing. So maybe Sorcerer is an option too. But
I could see Gabriella being an Eladrin sorcerer if she
Yeah.
wasn't already a Bard Warlock fawn.
Now she's just in a competition with one.
Yes, exactly.
I stole
Yes.
your character.
I only gave thought for Izzy. If Izzy were to change her race and class, she would probably be a gnome artificer
Ooh.
because she does a lot of crafting with the jewelry and stuff like that. So I figured maybe that would be an option if she did get a race and a class change.
What was it like playing Daggerheart? Fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Exciting, enjoyable. I want to go back.
I think it has a lot of useful tools for a narrative-focused game to give mechanics and structure to the things that you already do.
I liked how the hope and fear result fed into the story so that you could be successful, but there's something, the fear or whatever, attached to that successful result that just drives the story forward. And it's not just, oh, you succeeded and it's all hunky-dory, or you failed, but this still good thing happens. It lends itself to being more narrative-focused and character-driven than plot-driven, I guess.
It lends itself particularly well to the audio format and
Yeah.
podcasts.
Yeah. From the GM standpoint, you're playing a totally different game. I would GM it again. I'd also like to play it so I get the other side of that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I think it would definitely lend itself better to a longer running campaign. I felt like with a one shot, it was a little hard to try and fit everything in there, and you didn't get to try a whole lot of the mechanics that are
Yeah.
available.
Oh yeah, we only got through like a page and a half of the module.
Yeah.
Okay, last question.
Uh-huh.
What systems are you excited to try for more one-shots?
Ones that I'm currently interested in. Call of Cthulhu sounds fun. It's totally different than anything we've done as far as how the dice work, and it's just a different vibe. Monster of the Week is investigative and supernatural, but that's very action heavy. Call of Cthulhu is very mundane, normal people, but very investigative heavy. More Daggerheart.
Yeah.
I've got a copy of the Firefly RPG that uses Cortex Plus. I want to do that. Probably.
Space, pirate, space,
Yes, yes. DC 20.
Yes. So excited for that one.
You've got something in the works for that when time eventually happens for
Yep.
it.
We're just waiting for the game to be more developed because it's still being developed right now. But we're very excited to see what comes of DC 20 because it seems like it's genre agnostic, so it can lend itself to whatever kind of game you want to play. I'm also interested in eventually running a one-shot or two using Cortex Prime for the Dragon Prince game because I absolutely love that Netflix show. So I really want to run it. I just haven't had time. Also more Daggerheart because I'm curious to see if we play more, will it feel more natural to play?
Mm-hmm.
I also would like to play/run Call of Cthulhu. I have enjoyed many podcasts that have used that as a system, and the system to me makes a lot of sense. I would also like to run and play DC 20.
Yeah.
Candela Obscura is also one that I'm really interested in, more so the setting, but I would like to at least attempt to run that setting.
That would probably be relatively easy to pull into Call of Cthulhu, I think.
Probably. I think it does pull some stuff from Cthulhu.
Yeah.
And the last one, I've run 10 Candles before, but I would really like to be a player for 10 Candles, which is a one-shot. It's horror. You will not survive. Don't expect to.
Ironically, when you did it, I think my character was the only one that did survive.
Yeah. That's true.
But she was also a rotten person and also used a very posh voice as well.
I'm sensing a pattern.
Yeah, no kidding.
On one of these days when no one wants to DM, I think I would love to run you guys through a honey heist because that would be silly and fun.
Yes. Real honey heist, not Super Interns reflavored.
Sure. What's the raccoon one?
Crash Pandas.
Crash Pandas. Grant Howitt one-shots.
And also, this is a promise. We will go back to Pathfinder because I have I have thoughts in my brain that are itching and need to be voiced in the world, and you three are going to help facilitate that.
Yeah.
Yes, I need to practice my old man voice.
Well, you see, you gotta pitch up your voice and you gotta make it scratchy like this.
Well, I don't know if I want to do that kind of an old man.
Oh, well, never mind then.
I am so old.
Don't know if I should be adventuring at this point, but nah, we'll work it.
That's all our questions. This ended up being a long one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just broing around with us and hanging out. And
I think we should turn the tables. Let's ask questions of the audience.
yeah.
But I think some of the questions we have for you folks are, would you be interested in a Patreon or a Discord channel? Would you be interested to maybe instead of like a kid's choice, we do like a listener choice thing where we have a poll and we play the characters that you vote on or something? Like, is that something you guys would be interested in?
Are you interested in merch or stickers?
Is there a specific game that you're interested in? Like, there's a lot of hype for Daggerheart right now. But, like, what are your favorite shows? What do you want to see more of?
Have there been a favorite scene or character that you felt you really connected with in our current or previous campaigns? Is there a favorite NPC that you have from our games? Is there a really funny voice that you like Neil to portray and want to see more of?
Please request Neil voices.
I feel like this is a loaded gun.
Within reason.
Well, thank you so much for all your time and your questions. We love you and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.